Welcome to our 11th and final video lecture of the first set of jewelry design and sketching. Today we'll be looking at lines, contours, and outlines that go beyond the usual straight lines and individual curves like the four arcs that made up the square cushion shape we used in a couple of segments the previous lecture. We'll still be using guides as scaffolding to build what we build. They are here to stay. But you'll encounter some additional methods besides the standard square, guide, and grid, if only to tease your mind and give you some ideas as you go out into the big wide world. Another coming attraction is a method that will help you break down complex curves into components, so you have more control drawing them. While our second video lecture was all about straight lines, this one is all about complex organics. I thought this orchid I photographed ages ago would present a worthy subject for our discussion. But before we roll up our sleeves and move forward, I wanted to address a couple of concepts that will shed light on the subject. Pick a complex organic object, or a photograph of it, and draw its outlines. You can always sketch a grid or any other kind of guide on a printout of a photograph. This is about being a little adventurous and seeing what works. There are no cold and hard rules as to which kind of guide is best when you're working on something so complex and only experience can tell. As another suggestion, take a little time out and play. I'm drawing a couple of pear-shaped cabochons here. The thin double line is the metal thickness of a bezel surrounding each of them. I've decided to make a somewhat surreal hybrid between an orchid flower and a firebird. I'm drawing the firebird from some artwork I found ages ago on the web and haven't been able to locate since, so I'll work from memory. I'll make the small pear shape to be the head and the large one to be the body. Body and head will replace the column and the lip of the original orchid. Once they're drawn, I'll make myself a kind of guide that's admittedly loosely based upon those I used for the orchids earlier. I'm trying to get it to address the anatomy of both the flower and the bird at the same time, so it flows, yet isn't absolutely symmetrical. With the curves pleasing enough to look at, I'll get some reference points down. They should give me an idea of what a maximum distance from the center of the piece might look like. Since no firebird is without its crest, I'll bead set these stones in a little sheet of flat stock for it. Note how the bright cut essentially doubles the outline, providing the contour this relatively small component needs to visually stand its own. With the crest in place, it's time to make some serious decisions with regards to the dimension and the proportions of the petals or wings. So I'll go ahead and put down some reference marks. Some of them are intentionally more in line with the photograph than others. And with that, I'll get on with drawing these petals or wings. While I'll be liberal with emulating each and every curvature from the photograph I was using earlier, I will draw the outlines in the same character and assemble the individual curvature components the same way. When I focused on the individual curvature component earlier for the sake of clarity, you can now see how I'm starting to bundle a few together in a longer stroke for more fluidity and efficacy. Still faithful to the guide and the reference points made prior, this thing is coming together in a way that should by now be familiar. Now there are many ways to stylize this thing. I've chosen to make the petals on the side bigger so they are easier to associate with wings, but then you could also make the bottom petals thinner and longer, which would probably look quite graceful. Those kinds of variations on a theme are what you'd sketch out in the workplace. Do a drawing, review it critically, and come up with the next one, the new and improved version. This way you'll methodically hone in on target. Sometimes you'll only need one sketch and that's it. Other times you'll need your project to mature by evolution over several, sometimes dozens such drawings until you've got it. And with that, it's time for me to thank you kindly for watching these videos, and I sincerely hope it was an enjoyable learning experience. In the next set of video lectures, I'm going to address how to work with light and shade, so you can get your creations to look as three-dimensional as our firebird orchid pendant here.